Good morning, Kathy here from Kathy's Cute Creations. Today is month 4 of the Threadology Quilt. Instead of me showing you this while it's setting up at an angle, because all my little letters are gonna fall off, I'm just going to show it to you straight down, the pieces that I've already got cut out. Okay, this is going to be put together and be the churn dash block. So the very first thing they want us to do is take our fabric A, which is our large square, and they want us to be able to sew on the right side and the left side of a line down the middle. So you know what I do, and you can do it one of two ways. I normally draw my line from one end to the other first. And I don't know if this friction pin is going to work. Let's see, because I haven't used it in a while. Okay, so just draw a line. This is one of those friction pins, so it'll come off with heat, and it's on the wrong side of the fabric. Then what I do, let me put a little bit closer. And this is the, let me back it up here. This is the Creative Grids ruler. All right. This has a 1/2 inch already marked. Let me see if I can flip it over. As you can see, it's like a cloudy. This and this is cloudy. And then this has a 1/4 inch and up at the top. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the dotted line here for the 1/4 inch. I'm going to put it on the line that I just drew. And I don't think you can even see it. It is so light. Let me see if I can redraw it. Heck, I can even barely see it, to be truthful with you. Let's see if I can. Maybe this will help. I'm looking in the camera trying. There you go. Okay. So then what I do, whoopsie dips, is I will take my ruler, which has the 1/4 inch, and I put this on the line. And then what I'm doing is I'm going to do little hashtags, which is my sewing line. See if you can see that. And I'm going to do it on both sides. And if you have to do it the other way, which I'll show you on this other piece of fabric. Okay, so that's the way I do it. Let me make sure I got it on the wrong side. Okay, so if you want, what you can do is go ahead and mark the center line with the hashtag, because that's going to be the cutting line. And then do a 1/4 inch over and do a straight line for your sewing if you feel that you need it. Because you know, when you go to cut it, all you're going to do is you're going to put the tip of your ruler up here and the tip of your ruler down here, and you're going to cut along that dotted line. So it's not as if you need the dots filled in order for you to cut it with your rotary cutter, or even your scissors for that matter. But maybe you feel more comfortable with an actual straight line to sew on. And this is on the bias. All right, and then yours could look like that. Okay, so either way you want to do this, makes no difference. Okay, all right, so that's the first thing it said to do. Let me take some of these threads off here. Now, when we get done with these squares, these will be oversized, because that is the way that Kimberly wanted it, so that you actually will take it and make it an appropriate size, which I will show you how to do that when I get done with this video. Now we take the C fabric, which is the black in my case. If you've chosen your own colors, that's fine. It's whatever it's the same size as this, and you're putting your right sides together, because now we're going to sew them. And we will get 2 rectangles when we cut this apart. And that's usually what I do, is I just pin it like that. Let's back it up here so you can see it. Okay, so I just line it up like that. They should fit. And then I usually pin it right here. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to sew right down that line. Now when you get finished with this is the large square we're working on, and these are the corners of the squares for the churn dash. Now because we're not starting in the corner, because we're off to the side, our needle should not get jammed in this sewing machine. I say shouldn't. You can always use a lead or ender if you want to. That's your preference. I haven't done anything special to my machine. I still use 2.5 for my length and a 12 needle. Oops, that pin's a little bent there. I will go ahead and I'll chain stitch this. Just clip it apart and flip it around. Take my pin out, I don't need it anymore. So the other side. Okay, if you haven't done this before, I'm going to show you how to do it. Now I'm lining up the corner of my fabric here and the corner down there. And just go straight down. That gives me 2 pieces. Same thing with this one. And you can see your line. Now we're going to take it over here to the ironing board, and I'm going to open them up like that, and we're going to have 4 of them, and that's the corners. Now let me go ahead and show you how to set a seam and how I'm going to do it. Now the only thing you do to set your seams, and it relaxes them, leave it folded shut, don't open it, and you're putting the iron on it. That's relaxing it, and in this case it's also taking my marks off. If you had used a pencil, a number 2 pencil, it will not show through this fabric once you've sewn on it. Okay? Now keep in mind, this is going to be on the corner. So the corner on this block here, let me show you here. They're taking their, it's going to go like this. And normally the rule of thumb is to iron your fabric towards the dark side. So to get it to go to the dark side, you put the light color down, you lift it up, and it actually leaves it. And I'll show you facing it this way, like that. Make sure you can see it. Okay, so when I have the white down on the ironing board, and I lift this up and I iron it, which I'm going to show you here. And I'm being careful because I do not want this bias to stretch. That's our objective. Don't stretch the bias. And when you do it that way, and you look at the block, you don't, let me turn it this way here. You do not see the seam right here on this side of the block. It's going towards the dark side. If it was to go to the light side, you would see it. Let me see if I can, let me do the next one towards the other direction so you can see what I'm talking about. I'll do it on this corner. Okay, so if I made my seam go towards the light side, this is, I got too many shadows over here. There's what you would see. You would see it on your fabric. So when you laid that down, that's going to be showing when you go to do your quilting or tying off or however you're finishing your quilt. You know, it's up to you. So all you got to do, let's say that you did it the wrong way by mistake, or when you started putting your pieces together, you went, oh my goodness, it has to go the other direction. Just come back and re-iron it. And if you have to, you can starch it. And usually I'll go on the, now I don't put any pressure on my iron. I'm not doing this. I'm just slowly letting it go over. I'm actually holding up my iron until it's made contact. Then I will put pressure on my iron. And then you can see that it's correct because you can't see it. So that's two of them. And these are in the corner. So when you get this block done, it'll be up there. It'll be over here. And then you'll have two down here. All right. This is really a fun block and an easy block. Although you got to pay attention because you want to make sure that your corners are going to be meeting correctly. I think I just did that one. Did I do that wrong? Nope. And if you're worried and your fabric stretches too much on you, then by all means you can go ahead and you can starch this. Or if you don't want to use starch, if you put water on this and iron it, that'll also make it a little bit stiff right there at the beginning to get you to get it ironed. All right, let's go back over here and let's get another thing started. Now you have 4 E's and 4 B's. And first I'm going to pin it. So I pin it at the top left-hand corner and the top right-hand before I sew. And go ahead and pin all yours just like that. And then I will chain stitch them. And you want to do it a 1/4 inch. Wherever your 1/4 inch is on your sewing machine. And I didn't think to ask, is anybody by any chance actually hand stitching this instead of sewing it with a sewing machine? I made my first quilt totally hand stitched. That's the first time I learned how to hand sew that way. I took a class. Everybody was doing it together. A little yellow and green baby blanket. Every little square was a different square so that we could learn how to finish off on each edge instead of just straight edges, and how to make the corners meet, and did a little applique, did a little of everything on it. I think I showed it in one of my previous videos. Let's cut those apart and let's go ahead and iron them open. All right, this is what it's going to look like. So we're going to sew these first 3 right here, row 1, row 2, and row 3. We're going to do that first. All right, so when I started pinning it, I got to thinking, you know what? You might be a little bit confused by this tip right here. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how to cut that off. What you want to do is put, let me get a smaller ruler because I've already got that pinned. take your ruler and put it, hold on 1 second here. Put it on the edge right here, and you're going to put pressure on your ruler. Go down to the edge, put pressure on your ruler before you use your rotary cutter, because you're only wanting to take off this little piece right here. Nothing more. So then the edge is nice and smooth so that you can pin it. And it matches. And then that all matches the whole thing. Okay? And then we'll sew it. Notice when I pinned it right end this seam because I want to hold this seam down and I don't want it accidentally jumping up, going over as I sew it. So go ahead and pin so that you can chain stitch for this large one. Now I have to attach this one, and I can flip this one over and flip the middle row over because I went ahead and pinned all the edges, all the ends. Oopsie dips. Oopsie dips. Got some dog hair in my foot. I went to use that pedal. Oops. Now let me get it ironed and then I'll put it up on the design wall for you. All right, here's the trimming part that I was telling you about. When you look down here at the corner, right here, what you're trying to do is you're trying to allow a 1/4 inch from the tip of that to the edge of the fabric. The reason being that you're going to sew these squares together at a 1/4 inch. So your seam is going to come right to the very corner of that. You don't want it coming over here because you'll cut your corner off. All right, so here's where this ruler, most rulers have a little 1/4 inch. So I put the line right up against it, the 1/4 inch, same here. And then I trim, which isn't much, right there, so that I know that that'll go through. I could probably trim a little bit more because this one's off right here. There we go. And I go around the whole thing and do that. And I'm not trying to go from end to end. All I'm trying to do is get these little 1/4 inch. That's it. I'm not going over the whole block. Oops. I'm just doing the 1/4 inch thing right now. Making sure I got the 1/4 inch. And all of her blocks are oversized as it is. And I'm not sure I'm going to put my blocks in her order either. And now what I'll do with this is I will go ahead, and I don't think I'm going to spray starch it, but I think what I'm going to do is put a little water on it. And what I'm looking is I'm looking at each square. I'm not looking at the whole entire thing. I'm just looking at each square. And that's it. And cutting the scragglies off. Now, if you want to square the whole thing up, then what you're looking at is the, I don't even see it on this ruler. This is not going to be a good ruler to square it up. Let me get a smaller ruler to show you. Okay, this will work. So when you square it up, you need a ruler that has, no, I'm going to move that out of the way because you can't see. See the line right here? These lines right here? These 30, 45, 90 degree angles. Those angles go along your blocks to square them up. That's how you square up. Normally. And this is not one of those blocks. So when I get to one of those blocks that you got to square up like that, I'll do it. If it was smaller, I would use a lock block, but I don't have a large lock block. Okay, there it is. Now you want to go and finish all those little blocks the same way. And then when I get done with them, I'll put them on the design wall. Here they are, all completed. They turned out really good. I hope all of yours turned out. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, click the little bell so you can get my notifications. And before I leave, I am wondering if you guys have been hit with the cross-stitch bug like everybody else has. And I've started a project and I'm going to show it to you here. Here's the beginning of my project. Let's see if you guys can guess what it is. It took me, believe it or not, 2 hours to do that much of it. Give me a comment and tell me if you can guess what it is. Until next time, bye-bye everybody. Thanks for watching.